Very good morning, folks. It is amazing how difficult times such as these make us truly appreciate things that we otherwise take for granted, such as beautiful mornings and human relationships and wisdom. And we are fortunate to have all of that with us today. It's a beautiful Saturday morning in Mumbai, and we have two industry leaders who bring their unique insights and perspectives to the discussion. And we are fortunate to be joined by registrants who are joining us as I speak. Let me see if we have them online. Yes, from different parts of the country and the world. A warm welcome to everybody. It's such a joy to be in connect with everyone, especially during these unprecedented and difficult times. Heartfelt thanks to all. Before we begin the discussion, let me quickly introduce our esteemed panelists. We have Mr. Indradev Babu, UCAM Private Limited MD and IMTMA President. IMTMA, that obviously everybody knows, it stands for Indian Machine Tools Manufacturers Association. IMTMA is the apex industry body of machine tool makers and is the organizer of the industry flagship event IMTEX. IMTMA recognized Mr. Babu as the premier outstanding entrepreneur. That is an award instituted in the memory of Mr. Vinod Doshi, and the award was given in the year 2018. UCAM is a leader in India for CNC rotary tables, high performance CNC gear hobbing machines, and high performance torque motors. The company believes in the philosophy Make in India for the World and offers technologically advanced products to the world market. Then we have Mr. Shailendra Goswami, who is Chairman and Managing Director of Pushkaraj Engineering Enterprises Private Limited and Coherent Networking Solutions Private Limited. He's also associated as an advisor and mentor with Aditya Enterprises and Tanma Enterprises. He is a professional guide for relocating overseas companies from China to India. Pushkaraj Group represents and distributes products of 32 leading companies from around the world to diesel engine manufacturers, automotive manufacturers, engineering industry, national research industries, oil and gas sector, shipbuilding yards, compressor manufacturers, etc. A very warm welcome to our panelists. Let's begin straight away. Before that, I really want to thank from the bottom of my heart to the sponsors of this talk, AMF India. AMF India is a part of AMF, a leading manufacturer with global presence that has a portfolio of over 5,000 products that meet all requirements in the field of clamping, hand tools, and locks. We have among the attendees, I want to quickly read out representation from companies such as Ace Manufacturing, Makino, BFW, Sound Casting, Philips Corporation, LNW, and BBB Industries, who are joining us as attendees. Thank you, everyone, ladies and gentlemen. Let's begin the discussion. First question is, what is the situation on the ground? Mr. Babu?
Yeah, good morning, Anand, and good morning to everyone. The situation, as you know, is manufacturing has become practically zero. Today, we heard that the auto output is zero. Machine tool output has been also zero. So, of course, the situation that we are passing through is something unprecedented. Never happened in the history of the business so far. And naturally, the government had to take such precautions to save lives. And I think it's awesome that the government and the people of the country have come together to follow this need to be under lockdown. And the situation is this. But however, naturally, this would also bring about a lot of pains, and particularly to the weakest sectors and the poorest of the people, of the poor. And when you come to industries, the smallest, the small companies, very small scale industries, micro industries have a huge pain. and they have such a lot of problem, and also many confusions have set in. For example, the government has said that you have to pay all the wages. So the entrepreneurs who run these micro industries are wondering where the money will come from to pay the salaries. They did manage to pay. They did pay on the first of, I mean, somewhere during the 1st of April. But how are they going to pay during May? And when I checked with various smaller companies, as I have mentioned to you earlier, I have come from the SME space, and I have a lot of friends of our association with whom I'm in touch with. They're all clueless, and they're all wondering how they're going to manage, and they're eagerly waiting for this magical package that the government is planning to come out with. But I guess that is one side of the story. But all said and done, the people are holding on. Situation is tough, but I think today news, as we have seen, that they're starting to step by step open out. They can't, lockdown can't be there, and we will see the wheels of industry start to rotate slowly. I guess it can't suddenly jack up inertia. It needs to be managed. So that is a quick opening statement, but I think the government is doing a wonderful job.
Yes.
As from the association side, I've been in various panel meeting, various discussions with the various ministries, both state and central. So I'm hearing what the voice of the government is, and they're really trying to work around the clock to see what they can do.
Thank you. Thank you, Babu sir. Shailendra sir?
Yeah. Actually, good morning to everyone, and thanks, Anand, for giving me this opportunity. Good morning, Indradev. The situation is highly unprecedented. Everyone knows about it. And we have really clocked almost 5 to 6 weeks into this. I can remember that the last I walked out was on 20th of March. Since 20th of March, I have been staying at home. Of course, doing work from home like everyone else does. But then there have been lockdown series 1.0 in our manufacturing term. There has been lockdown 2.0, and there is a lockdown 3.0. Now, this is where the question comes that what is important today as far as our country is concerned, and which is what our government has been putting it as a priority, that controlling the pandemic becomes the supermost priority. And I think everyone agrees to it. I was listening to one of the interviews with the greatest economist and a banker, where he put it very nicely, where he said that there is lives and there is livelihood. And we are required to do a balancing act between lives and livelihood. One cannot be the cost at the other. So if we are trying to save lives, we know that livelihood is suffering. And when we are trying to look at the livelihood alone, lives will suffer. So we have to really do a tightrope walk, which I'm extremely happy to see that all the governments, state as well as our central government, has been putting in a lot of effort to do this tightrope walking, in which they have been trying to satisfy every sector. They have been trying to take care of every problem. And so far, putting 1.3 billion into a lockdown situation, it is really, really unprecedented. Compared to the world, what we have done is absolutely excellent. And we salute our administrators, the governments at the state level as well as the central level, for doing such a commendable job. Now, there is a lockdown which is headed up to 17th of May as far as Maharashtra or the India is concerned. But then we don't know whether on 17th May, what is going to happen. So like everyone has said it, we are not anticipating where we can say that, yes, the curve will come down to zero and then we will start our livelihood. No. So in another of these webinars also, there was this discussion where everyone concurred that we have to learn to live with this pandemic, and lives and livelihood both have to be balanced equally. I think with that statement, if we really look at it, the challenges which the industry has been facing, like Mr. Babu said, is phenomenal, whether it be restoring operations, because when we are thinking of continuing this lockdown for a number of weeks further, we have to think of doing something during the lockdown, which the government has eased out on rural belts or on the SEZs and things like that. So when we are trying to talk about restoring operations, it is during the lockdown as well as post-lockdown. So I will not consider a post-lockdown situation now. We have to talk about during lockdown, what all we are going to have challenges as the restoring of the operations. Liquidity, cash flow management is the biggest challenge, like he said, salary payments, EMIs, interest, and things like that. Supply chain management, although the cargo movement has started, the 90,000 trucks which are there on the road, hardly 15 to 20% of that has really taken into operation. But when it will come into total operation, we do not know. And then, of course, the biggest problem is the workforce. We are having a composition of migrant laborers as well as domestic labor in the local areas. So how do we really cope up with that? So how do we run our operations? So I could expect roughly around 30 to 50 to 60% of the capacity which people will try to work out with. And then we are very hopeful. And as we always say, that we are very, very motivated and positive looking people. And I am very sure that Indians by now have realized that the government is in the right direction, and then we should follow the guidelines given by the government, and we will certainly see the light of the day.
Thank you. Thank you, Shailendra sir. So what does your instinct and experience say of the last couple of months when this goes into the recovery phase? And this question is to both of you panelists. Will we see a V-shaped curve and then it will suddenly shoot up, or will we see a more phased recovery? Mr. Babu, what is your instinct? Hello, Mr. Babu, can you hear me? Indradev sir,
sorry.
I think you're,
yeah. I had muted. Sorry.
Yes. Could you hear the question?
Yes, I heard the question.
Yes.
Yeah.
When I say recovery, sir, just to elaborate, it is both on the demand side and the manufacturing side.
Yeah. See, manufacturing is definitely proportional to the demand. Okay. The concern is absolutely the demand. Okay. So I believe that it will be more like a little bit of a U, gradually it will pick up, it will go up, but I think the curve will not be so steep like a V. It will be a little shallower, and then it starts to accelerate. It would take at least 1 year period of a shallow growth because after the lockdown, even now, let's say from Monday onwards, the wheels will start to rotate, industry wheels.
Okay.
And that, everything is a chain reaction, and then only the demand starts to pull up. You see, auto is a very big, it is nearly 49% of the manufacturing GDP, auto in India. It's too much, it's quite big, okay?
Yes.
And now this has completely come to a standstill. This question is, if people are, it's a question of sentiment. If people are going to buy cars and two-wheelers, will there be enough people to travel in buses? What is going to be the sentiment of the people? Are they going to be safe? Okay, everything depends on this scenario. So I believe that this is something that everybody has said, and I also believe that it's a matter of going through this difficult phase. This difficult phase is not going to be a few weeks, few months. It will take a year and a half, maybe 2 years.
Wow.
And then you will see a very steep rise. It will be a curve and a very shallow curve, and then it picks up much because the mankind, his civilization is such that he needs to be doing something.
Yes.
Sometimes it looks like he's destroying the environment, but finally, economy is something that political leaders and business leaders are looking to gain.
Yes.
I guess in the future, I think there will be a little more rounded, maybe more pronounced rounded with a balance on ecology and environment going forward with that. I hope that during this time that will happen. So that will be really good. And yeah, and but then it will happen. It will be, as I said, it will move up. It will be a V, but with a curve, not straight lines. So
Okay.
you see what has happened now is, India's GDP last year, 1920, it dropped from, I think, 6.5–7%, something like that,
Correct.
to
Four.
around 6%. For, I
Oh,
mean, five, it's a little debatable, 5.5 to 6%. But
okay.
now this year is expected to fall very steeply. I don't know whether it's going to be 1% or 2%. Or
Yes.
I would like to be really prepared for a
Mm-hmm.
very low order, and that will, when it means 1%, 2%, it means a lot of other things is going to take a
Correct.
beating. So this year is going to be tough. Everybody needs to prepare for this particular year and move forward. And things will pick up next year, will be a little better. And beyond that, it will be a steep rise. So
Thank you, sir.
very quickly, I give you my perspective on this.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you. That's both concerning and inspiring at once. Thank you for that perspective. Shailendra, sir?
Yeah. As far as recovery is concerned, you have really brought it out in two sectors. One is manufacturing, and second one is on the demand side. The manufacturing, as we said it, that considering the constraints of restoring the operations, the workforce, the cash management, the liquidity, and administrative problems, I feel that the manufacturing will take a gradual slope or rather growth as far as production is concerned. And we will rise from maybe 30% to maximum 70–75%. But I don't think we will achieve 100% of what we have been targeting for next 5 or 6 months. Of course,
Okay.
there would be exceptions on that because then people are prepared for doing that. And as rightly pointed out by my colleague, we are quite capable of handling such situations in the industry with the kind of ingenuity that one has. And therefore, manufacturing would certainly take it up. The
Okay.
most important point is the demand generation, which will be very, very critical because as it is, if we really take automotive as a sector, 18 months we had experienced slowdown because of emission, because of mobility, because of weight criterions for the trucks, because of the scrappage policy, because of GST, because of so many things. And in 18 months, we had a degrowth of almost around 20–25%.
Yes.
And now this pandemic and then restoring the operations, which will last for another year or so, we might experience another degrowth of around 20–25%. So what we are discussing is roughly around 50% degrowth in 2 years period, and which is going to be a very, very heavy call which the manufacturers or the industry will have to take up. So the first and foremost criterion or area for concentration is going to be demand generation. And demand generation will come only when we have money in the pockets of our customers. Now, the money in the pocket of customers, even if it comes, like we have discussed, the customer is not going to invest because most of the places on social media and all, everyone is recommending that do not spend, do not overspend, do not put money in capital goods, do not do these kinds of investments and things like that. And that is where the demand is going to get a solid setback, and which is what is going to kill further. So even if I manufacturing up to say 60–70%, the demand, if it cannot be coped up to that particular level, again we will lag on the revenue model, and then that is where we will again go back on that degrowth path. Therefore, demand generation is going to be very, very important. Like in the words of Mr. Anuj Kathoria, who recently talked to ACMA, he gave 5 R's. Now, those
Wow.
R's are resolve, resilience, restart, reimagine, recovery. So if we really see what he means by resolve is get your bearings right. What he means by resilience is that never say die attitude. What he says reimagine is that the total new future awaits you, and the recovery is going to be the growth in the new normal market scenario. So if we
Yes.
take care of these 5 Rs, I think we will be on the recovery path. And I tend to agree with my colleague that yes, there will be a sharp rise in growth, but that particular period one will have to forecast depending on the pandemic, how it progresses.
Thank you. Thank you, Shailendra sir. That's very helpful. And this is a very comprehensive perspective from both the gentlemen of the immediate impact and how people are coping up with it and what are the ways to come out of this situation. Now, coming to the medium term, um, see, the thing is, the purpose behind this topic also is to look a bit deeper into what the longer term issues are. And interestingly, um, the COVID-19 works as a metaphor for what has happened to the manufacturing industry and has been happening to the manufacturing industry in India, in the sense that it is a virus that heightens the comorbidities of people, right? I mean, the underlying issues which have always been there but have been somehow manageable, but suddenly have put people at risk, for example. And now this is a good time, for example, to have a talk about how to manage them best. So the purpose behind this topic is also to look into these deeper underlying issues, because of which some countries, economies, or sectors have been hit harder than the others. South Korea or Japan or even America. There's a lot of noise in America, for example, but at a deeper level, it's not as badly affected as, let's say, manufacturing industry in India, because the deeper underlying issue is what I understand from a media perspective. I may be wrong. Uh, but my question to you, gentlemen, is that has the manufacturing industry been hit harder because of the deeper vulnerabilities or weaknesses that have been present, uh, for long? Uh, Shailendra, sir, you want to say? You
Yeah,
want to
yeah.
start?
This is absolutely true. We have been always an inward-looking society than an outward-looking society. We are very much satisfied, or rather, we always have a focus on our ROIs and the
Mhm.
short-term objectives.
Yes.
And we do not have that global outlook and follow that mantras of quality, cost, or delivery, which
Mhm.
is has been hitting us all along so far, because we were
Mhm.
quite happy with the domestic demand of whatever that production was there. If
Mhm.
we really look at 6 months back, there was a study which was conducted by Nomura Group, in
Yes.
which they had studied some 56 companies relocating from China. You will note that only 3 out of those 56 companies came to India.
Correct.
26 went to Vietnam, and
Mhm.
11 went to Taiwan, and 8 went to Thailand. So when we are talking about future, we need not be complacent that, well, China gone, so India is the solution. There is another catch into that if we are thinking that replacing China as a source for products or components or whatever services will make China weak, I think we will have to think twice before making that kind of a conclusion, because there could be a possibility that China might come out stronger out of all these situations which are happening. So we cannot undermine the capabilities of Chinese in manufacturing, and therefore matching that kind of a quality standard which they were making it volumes and the cost is going to be a bigger challenge. Now, for example, 1,000 companies are wanting to relocate their manufacturing from China to India. And the most important point in this is that they have many choices. Like I gave
Correct.
it to you, 4, 5
Correct.
choices, they have it, but we don't have any choice.
Correct.
We have to catch up on that choice which is available with us in whatever that percentage it is,
Correct.
and then look at a favorable government intervention in that, and then try to capture as much share as possible. And I'm happy to put forward some observations from a reading which I made in a very recent article of the initiatives taken by our own Prime Minister with the senior ministers, where he really took stock of this subject. And there is a clear-cut strategy paper which is getting prepared, which will be submitted for approval to the cabinet. And this strategy paper will definitely look for a China plus one strategy or a plug and play, where we would look for industrial estates or special economic zones in various states. And then there could be investment which could be done by the government to create SEZs, additional SEZs if they are falling back short on that. And then the government has also created a single window platform. They have also created an electronic tracking and monitoring system. And there is an investment clearance cell also. So what these all encompass into is the ease of doing business as far as India is concerned. And looking at India is one of the most potential areas for shifting basis. So if we really take these aspects, which government has been doing, they are very, very encouraging, and industry must take a leaf out of that. There is certain commitment from the industry side also that they should be looking at, because most of our industries are satisfied in a joint venture where they have a control of equity or shares, and they do not go for a minority stakeholding or look for a partnership for technological development alone if they don't have a control. And they may not be amenable to investment proposals. And this is where the industry will have to change their focus. And once the government and the industry come together on this kind of a scenario, I'm 100% sure India will become one of the most potential places for somebody to invest in FDIs or relocating companies from India or sourcing components from India overseas.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. It's very insightful and helpful. Indradev, sir,
Yeah.
could you also bring in the perspective of MSME into? Yes.
Yes, I agree with Mr. Shailendra that we are typically short-term looking. We don't have long-term perspectives and plan things out. I think this is because of how our country has evolved. It has been, things have been changing very dynamically. Lack of stability has caused people not to be able to think deep. I mean, when I say people, is also the governments, is also the industries and industry leaders. But this COVID-19 has given a lot of good opportunity for industry leader to look inwards. Okay. I think this is a time that you will, I expect that a lot of change will happen in the how manufacturing will happen. But having said, coming to the MSMEs, you see, I feel that we all know that MSME is a very strong contributor, very big contributor in the GDP of the Indian manufacturing.
True.
And they're so important, but they need to mature a lot. There's still a lot of more, almost what you can call disorganized, unorganized MSMEs. Okay. So it's for us to become, competitive. Let's say that we talk about attracting business industries from China to into India, or from any part of the world into India. The only thing that will matter is how competitive can we be for them to come here? How the solutions are here. The government has one aspect to do, make it, doing business in ease of doing business. That is something that they need to do. And they also have to bring in enablers to help MSMEs. But I particularly think that time has come for MSMEs to become more innovative and more productive. They have to grow beyond the jugaad innovativeness to be and into organized innovativeness.
Yes.
Instead of being more service oriented, job shop oriented, why don't they produce products? We need to have a program by which MSMEs can learn how to, learn to copy a Chinese or a Japanese product which which will evoke interest from buyers. They have to be competitive. They have to be competitive. Price wise, they have to be cheaper, and at the same time as attractive to when somebody sees, looks at it. Oh, this looks to be made, well made, attractive looking. And then we need to have platforms wherein these can be launched. That's when the MSMEs will become creative and have their own product manufacturing rather than just doing job work. Of course, supply chain and is a building block requirement for any manufacturing that needs to happen, where a small company excels in manufacturing parts for another company. But we need to have more companies producing products which go to B2C or even B2B. So this percentage needs to grow, and for this people have to ability to create products and launch it in the market. And when they launch in the market, they have to survive, and they have to survive against Chinese and any other world products. And when that happens, they learn to become competitive. But to be competitive, I think the most I feel efficient manufacturing in the country is the auto.
Correct.
They have a well organized system to be very effective and efficient, and they have followed perhaps the Japanese Toyota manufacturing system and so on. Then this knowledge of excellence in manufacturing has to be somehow transferred to the medium and smaller companies. I think the thing that the government should do is bring in suitable enablers or programs by which this could get transferred. It's not easy because we Indians, because of the way our culture we have developed and come up, it's difficult to be very organized. It's pretty difficult, but it has happened in India and it can happen. As I mentioned to you the other day, everybody feels that China is the cheapest manufacturing country. Not so. India, there's a company in our association called Pragati Automation. Mr. Sate told me, I am the cheapest producer of turrets in the whole world. Okay, when he said that, he was able to beat any product competitively. When he said cheapest, he meant competitive in terms of price and performance. And of course, and quality-wise, it's accepted by even the Germans.
Yeah.
And in China. So China, they have a big market. So I know of many other companies. Even our own company, we compete with a high-tech product globally. So India can do it, but organized way of, see, we are also in a MSME space. Okay, the definition is being changed today. The government is looking at it. And even Pragati Automation will also come in that, somewhere in that space. But when so many other companies which have are so efficient and competitive, why can't others be?
Correct.
So they need to learn, and India needs to learn to be a competitive manufacturing, be able to compete in all respects, whether it be price, whether it be profitability, whether it be acceptability. How does a customer's emotion say that when he experiences a product? So this is something that needs to come into India. But of course, to attract big companies to come into India, manufacturing India, of course, ease of doing business, equipment facilities, the government has to do a lot of things to do that. But then when you do that, we are becoming suppliers and subcontractors. When will India become product manufacturing? When will India export products? And when will, please look at Indian manufacturing from a brand perspective. How many, if you go to international world, let's say European space or North American space, look at manufacturing, you will find Mahindra, okay, and Tatas, but all in the periphery, okay. But look at Chinese, look at Korean, South Korean. China has really brands in manufacturing space. When will India produce developed brands? So this is something that's so important. Okay.
Correct.
So if you're not a brand, we become a commodity. So it's time that Indians develop, produce brand. Even in SMEs, MSME space, in their area, they should. It's time that they build a brand, and for that they have to be competitive in all
That's
respects.
so important. That's so important. Absolutely. That's vital. The fact that if one does not become a brand, one becomes a commodity. And I believe it's applicable to all areas of life, including manufacturing. And you also spoke of innovation, which reminded me of an interesting quote I recently read from Gabriel Garcia Marquez, who's an author. And he said that when use the pause button on machines stop working. But when you use the pause button on humans start innovating. Obviously, it could be applicable to both the lockdown as well as the low growth situation that we've been seeing so far. We have started to get questions. Before we move to the questions, there's one uh, poser I put to all the panelists, which is kind of interesting. Um, and now you spoke about, and Shailendra sir also spoke about the model, the India growth model as to how it could be. Now, see, the China model has been a top-down growth model. And obviously, India has also emulated that in parts with SEZs and other measures. Even Make in India, one could say, could be uh, partly emulating, the Made in China um, plan that came out many years ago. Uh, so obviously, the government has to do its part. It could be a top-down growth model or whichever it could be. But from an industry perspective, now my question is this: that there was a Bollywood movie called Nayak, which I think was a remake of a Tamil movie. I forget the name. So the hero is given a day to solve all the problems that he has been talking about as the chief minister of that state, and he's promised that he'll be given all the resources and whatever, but he's given a day to do that. So let's say if you gentlemen are given a day and made the CEO of India's manufacturing sector, what are the top three things you would change with no constraints? Don't worry about any constraints of resources or anything else. The top three things that you would like to change about India's manufacturing sector. I'd start with you, Shailendra sir.
Well, to my mind, if we have to sustain in the global market, I'm not talking of only domestic. If we have to, because now onwards, we have to look at it in a global perspective. The top three comes as quality, cost, and delivery.
Okay.
And you said three, so but the next one is the
Yes, please. I mean, you are the CEO of manufacturing, so you have as many decisions you can take.
The top three, quality, cost, and delivery, certainly will take me to place. But I will add scalability. Then we need to add modular manufacturing. So we could be very, very flexible in whatever we do. Then, as pointed out by Mr. Babu, that we need to have a process innovation. We must learn to innovate ourselves.
True.
Then the part which comes where we fail miserably is the logistics efficiency and excellence.
Correct.
And then the joint services and value add centers in strategic overseas locations. These are a few things which I would like to change if we have to become a global player. Of course, there would be exceptions where there would be certain companies who would be really following most of them, but then most others like MSMEs or the ones we are discussing would face problem globally if we do not really look at these areas very, very carefully and come up with some kind of a strategy to cope up with this.
Thank you, Shailendra sir. Indradev sir?
Yeah. Interesting question you asked, Anand. Now, see, I wouldn't, to start with, I wouldn't look at a 1 year, 2 year. I would look at a 10-year plan with a 5 years, 2 steps of 5 years.
Okay.
So first of all, for our manufacturing, the focus is manufacturing and the CEO of manufacturing. So if India's manufacturing needs to move somewhere, okay, we need to become competitive. I said that before. So for this, I will set in for item 1, I will set in one enabler. I'm going to talk to the government to find the top, top people, top thinkers and movers in who knows about, being efficient, being competitive in manufacturing, because there are such gurus who have been helping auto industries. I know many of them. Now, such
any names that come to your mind, sir? Any names that come to
there are no. I mean, quickly I can't come out with it. May not be appropriate also because there's several.
Fair enough.
Not one, but there are several. Now, these panels have to be deployed north, south, east, west. They are the top X. Below them, they have several team who are going to be actually play the role. They will actually work with the MSMEs, SMEs. I want to focus on not the big companies. Big companies can take care of it on their own. They're already doing it. They know that being productive, being competitive means bottom line. So the MSMEs have to learn this. On one side, we help them, and the other side, set a competitive spirit. You give them, certain encouragement, certain things, provided they achieve certain levels of competitiveness. So this would be item 1. Okay. Item 2 would be to make manufacturing. Yes, item 2 will be an enormous level of training. Okay, we already heard Shailendra talk about skill, but I would use the word training in a bigger perspective, which includes skill. Which, see, our engineers are really not top notch. They need a number of years, but then if you have the right appropriate training for these people to be more sharper, they could contribute directly into the industries they join. So I would also do that. IMTMA is doing a very good job there by something called finishing school. This is a wonderful thing, and the industry really grabs them up. But I would ask this kind of programs throughout the country, wherein graduates coming out will go through some sort of a enabler so that they become ready for certain areas of the manufacturing. So this training is a very big, very important subject, and the government has to put the top people there on it, and the industry associations have to take this on. A lot, industry associations are managed by the industry groups. So industries association have to give a lot of focus on this second item, on the training. The third basket I would talk about is also about improving logistics, but also the industrial government. Today industrial estates are pathetic, dirty. Roads are not maintained. It's so inefficient to go through these ways. You are actually losing efficiency, and it's setting already a bad quality. Okay, it leaves a bad taste as you go into your company. So these are the 3 areas. Logistics and infrastructure is a third basket. So there are the 3 things that I would want to do. There are several million things to do, but this I would give as a top priority for manufacturing, which all majority focused on the MSMEs.
Great. Thank you, sir. Okay, there are many questions coming in, as you can see on the panel, on IMTEX and about your capacity as the IMTMA president, as to what contribution the association is making in this situation and things like that. So Would you like to take up those questions? Would you be okay with you?
Yes, yes. Yeah, sure, sure.
Oh,
I'll
okay,
definitely
okay.
take up, of course.
Okay, thank you, sir. So I'll come back to that. Yes, there's a question for Shailendra sir from Sachin. Let's have Sachin ask the question directly. Sachin, can you hear us?
You have to unmute him.
Sachin, okay. Yes, I have unmuted. Hi, Sachin, are you there?
Hi Anand, good morning. How are you?
Very good morning. Very good morning to you. Good to hear from you.
Yes, it is very really good to start the day with such a great webinar.
Thank you.
So thank you so much for the initiative.
Thank you on behalf of the panelists also.
Yeah, my pleasure. So
You represent TechRoot.
yes, the name of my company is TechRoot Space,
Yes.
and we are a startup. We started off 2 years back, and we do consulting for manufacturing operations.
Okay.
And these are mainly for the machining operations.
Okay.
So I have a question for Shailendra sir.
Hmm.
So with respect to the
Sachin,
manufacturing,
before that,
yeah,
I'd quickly ask, I want to know, I mean, which part of the country you're speaking from?
I am from New Delhi.
New Delhi. So how's
Yeah.
the situation over there and what is the atmosphere generally with the lockdown being lifted partly or wholly in different
No,
parts?
see, actually, in New Delhi, most of the areas are still in red zone.
Okay.
And of course, the grocery stores and those all necessary things are available. So,
Hmm.
people are allowed to go to the grocery stores. And so the situation is a bit better, but the lockdown will still continue, I think. And as far as, the how the people are following is also in place. So people are not moving out of the houses, so it is
Okay.
being followed, and it is the necessity of the hour, because I mean, if they don't follow it, then probably it will again be extended. So it's better to be at home and
Okay.
just follow the instructions from the government.
And
So
how
it's
about
being followed.
manufacturing activities in the NCR belt? Any idea on that?
We are in touch with many of our customers who are into manufacturing here, and we
Hmm.
keep on asking them when they are opening up. So
Okay.
the most of the answers which we receive are depending on the lockdown.
Okay.
So most of the answers are like, when the lockdown is going to be opened, then only they are going to open. Before that, there
Hmm.
are very low chances. Some of the customers have started talking about visits and all, but probably, I mean, the situation is like, even if the lockdown opens, from our side
Hmm.
also, it will be really difficult to start visits right away.
Okay. Okay. That reminds
Yeah,
me of a particular point I wanted to discuss with the panelists. Thank you
yeah.
for bringing it up in the sense that the migrant situation. And after your question, I'll put this question to both the gentlemen. But
Uh,
before that, your question, please, Sachin.
yeah, so my question is for Shailendra sir.
Mhm.
So with respect to the manufacturing sector, so India, as you would know, that India is also having a large dependency on China for sourcing machinery and other equipment. So keeping the sentiments of people about China in place right now, how do you see the situation evolving in maybe next 4 to 5 years?
Yeah. Good morning, Sachin. A very good question, which I partly addressed in one of my briefings
Yeah,
when I said that relocating from China does not mean China becomes weak. For all you know, China may come out stronger than before.
True.
So
True.
one has to understand the strengths of Chinese are in raw materials, strengths of Chinese are in manufacturing, strengths of Chinese are in cost, and strength of Chinese are in process automation and manufacturing. Now, getting all this out from China is virtually going to be impossible, like you have said it. So, if I really am very, very strategic in thinking, where is my market? My market is in Europe, America, if we are talking of global perspective, and domestically India. So
yeah,
we have nothing against China as such, if one really looks at it. I will give you another example. Why only machinery? We have a situation for automotive sector moving out from BS4 to BS6. Now, considering the time which was available, considering the investments which were required to be done, considering the volumes and the cost, we had to resort to certain resourcing from China. So as you said it rightly, we will have to depend on sourcing from China, whether it is raw material, whether it is component parts, or whether it is machinery or equipment as such. So India needs to craft a very, very careful strategy of engagement with China. We need to understand this without really affecting our independence and sovereignty. Because normally China is known for bulldozing. So we will have to keep that distance, maintain our sovereignty as well as independence, and strike a careful partnership balance while securing our place in global supply chains. And this is going to be a very, very high level diplomatic discussions which will have to take place, which I think our bureaucrats are very, very experts in doing that. And so far, if you really look at it, nowhere I have read that sentiments of India against China as such. Yes, everyone is preparing for China replacement, but then we are not talking about China or against China. Now, India needs to launch simultaneously a plan to make Indian manufacturing globally competitive also. And that project of Make in India has to be given a thrust so that we become independent on raw materials, we become independent on powers, we become independent on logistics, land, labor, interest, what all you have it. So there is going to be a multi-pronged strategy which we have to use it. At one place you engage with China in good faith and continue doing what you are supposed to do and get your sourcing done of raw materials and machinery and components. At the same time, you prepare your ground for an eventual replacement tomorrow of these sources which we are getting it from China. So it has to be a very, very balanced approach, because ultimately, as I have been saying again and again, China is not our market. It is our source of imports. It is not our source for exports. So
Right.
our source for exports is going to be Europe, America, and India, or other consumption is going to be in India. So why really meddle with China today? At the same time, Chinese are also very wise. They understand that India is going to prepare a counterbalance, and they will start working out the things. The point which was raised earlier also, that Chinese, if you really look at it, are no more that competitive as they were 5 years ago. Their labor costs have gone up. Earlier, labor who was paid 500 RMB now is required to pay 2,500 RMB on scalability, if one really looks at it. So it's almost 4 to 5 times salary hike. So no more the labor is cheap there. And what machines they use, we also use the same machines. So why shouldn't we be competitive as well? So India can come out more competitive. Secondly, for low volumes, high tech, India certainly is competitive. For high volumes, low tech, China is competitive. So our domain of focus has to be on a high volume, low tech componentry, which
Great point. That's a great point.
Which falls into FMCG primarily, which is not the topic of discussion today. But within industry also, there are certain commodities which can be highlighted on ABC categories. And then we should, as India, start looking at those and try to take those components or equipments in our Make in India composition. I hope, Sachin, I have answered your question.
Yeah, I purely echo with what you how you responded, sir. Thank you so much. And my takeaway from it is, I take it in 2 points. One is that we have to be cautious about the tendency of bulldozing from China, and second is we have to prepare ourselves to be more competitive in manufacturing. I think that makes sense. Thank you so much, sir.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sachin, for your question.
Yeah. Thanks.
Now, let's take a question from Mr. Vishwanath Ammanagi. Hi, Vishwanath. Can you hear us?
Good morning, Anand. Can you hear me?
Yeah, absolutely. Loud and clear. And thank you so much. You represent AMF India.
Yes, yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Grateful to you and your company for supporting this talk.
It's pleasure, and thank you for giving us that opportunity to Anand. And my question is to Mr. Babu. I hope he is listening now.
Yes, I'm listening to you, Mr. Vishwanath.
Yes, sir. How are you, sir?
Good, thank you.
Yeah. My question is, we all know that there will be less demand, in many sectors, many industries after this lockdown. Are there any exceptions? There may be something, like some of the sectors will do, much better, or maybe the demand will go drastically
Yeah.
upwards. Hello?
Indradev sir, I think the question.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, we are.
Vishwanath?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, what you're asking in simple is in this low demand expectation, which industries could be there could be more demand.
Correct.
Definitely, as such, machine tool would be looking a little much lower during this year. Because our capital goods machine to which come under capital goods will take a little longer to really for the demand to pick up. The wheels, as I said, started to rotate. That is, I guess, from Monday, and but then there that there has been a big pull from the medical sector, huge amount of pull. So if you are supplying any kind of equipment, machinery, which is supporting the medical. For example, let's say pharma. Pharma has to produce a lot of medicines, and you're supplying a machine for making the tablet making machine, let's say. I think that could be a positive. But straight away, the big thing that today we talk about is the PPEs and ventilators and so on. So if you are supplying more, machines for mold making, and that would be going into the medical sector, this could be another option. But one thing I'm saying is, in the supply chain wherein machine tools are required, and naturally accessories, attachments which go with the machine tools, like your AMF products, will also have a demand when the machines themselves are focused for that demand. I guess the metal forming as such could be a more in demand. Mold making and metal forming could be more in demand. Auto parts could be seeing a very shallow pull or a specific areas of pull. But I think these are some areas that there will be. There could be a lot in terms of laser processing. Laser processing is an area that wherever you are producing laser processing, there could be a pull for you. So in principle, demand will come from these for machine tools and allied products. That is what if you are interested in. These are the broad areas that could have a pull in the very short-term sector. But believe me that in a year's time, new opportunities, new industries will pick up, and maximum 2 years. In about 2 years, you will see a very steep climb for machine tool requirements. Manufacturing will pick up in India, and there will be a lot of focus away from manufacturing, away from auto. Other than auto parts will become a priority for machine tool builders. Will look at other because manufacturing too will auto being the big part of the our manufacturing GP would drop a little bit. Perhaps it will drop from 49% to 40%. That 9-10% can make a huge difference for manufacturing, and in turn have a demand for machine tool consumption in the country. So that is a quick answer for you, Mr. Vishwanath.
Thank you very much for that.
Can I add something?
Yes, sir.
Vishwanath, Shailendra sir would like to answer.
Please, sir. Please, sir.
Yeah, actually, like we have been discussing in last 1 hour, that our focus has to be global and our focus has to be market oriented. And a company which really takes care of products which are driven by the market will only survive. Let us make that statement very bold, because so far we were making a product and then trying to create markets, but the situation is going to be changing. So the marketing books will have to start writing something else now. The books which we learned, in which we always had a product-based marketing systems design, but now today markets will demand products. So companies must prepare themselves in a manner that they could cater to the products required by the market. Now, what are those products as a consequence of this? You know, I was personally being coaxed by one of my very, very senior friends to get into healthcare, which I never really looked at. Being an engineer or being in industry or manufacturing for last 42, 43 years, I always neglected that. Like Mr. Indradev Babu said, that one will be looking at non-automotive. For last 2 years, I have been talking to most of the people in manufacturing to look for avenues in non-automotive, which could be defense, which could be aerospace, which could be space, which could be anything other than automotive. Kalyanis have shifted their base from automotive to non-automotive much earlier. So healthcare, in the healthcare, you can say that the medical equipment or the medical electronics today, if we really look at a COVID room where the patient is admitted, you will see nothing but wires and oscilloscopes and instruments. And there is hardly one mechanical gadget which is fabricated, that is the bed part of it. Rest all is electronics. Even the bed is controlled by electronics. So like we say that in a car, 40% of it is electronics. Similarly, in healthcare, medical instruments and medical electronics is going to play a very, very large role. And some people have already forecasted that India will become one of the biggest exporter in the area of healthcare, whether it is medical electronics, equipments, medicines, pharmaceuticals, homeopathy, or Ayurveda. Now, all this put together today, like Ayush has been promoting homeopathy and Ayurveda for building up immunity. I think world over, these things are very much appreciated. So healthcare is one area which this thing. There is another area which has come out. Like today we are talking on a webinar, which I could have never imagined that I would be talking to Anand or Indradev Babu or you for that matter. We would have never met in our life. But then digital transformation or the digitalization of activity is going to be something which is going to be very, very important. In that, Zoom has really taken a step much forward, and then others are really coping up with that. But then I will extend it to our industrial approach, is that e-commerce. E-commerce is going to be one of the biggest platforms where people will start buying and selling. One of our US principals has already started using an online portal where he conducts his sale of engineering items like vibration switches and things like that on e-platforms. So e-commerce is going to be one of the biggest challenges which everyone will be looking at. And certainly this saves a lot of cost. Of course, it is against our social objectives of giving manpower or other employment. But, you know, something has to be done at the cost of something. Everything doesn't come for free. So, like I said, there is another area which has been debated along, that we need to have a lot many research laboratories for, again, in the healthcare domain. So if I really look at it, healthcare could be one, e-commerce could be second one, medical electronics could be one, and naturally the food processing part of it. That when we are getting locked down 40 days, 50 days, we need to have food which is processed, which could last much longer. We could export the food which is available with us, because 50% of the produce, agricultural produce, goes waste. And that is where we need to put up some cold storages, food processing plants, and things like that. So these are some other areas. Then there could be some engineering there. There could be some non-engineering. So these are the avenues which are open. And like I said, that the companies who really create products which are driven by the market will survive.
Great point, sir. Indradev sir, would you like to add anything to that?
No, the question being the same, no doubt that, I was focusing on a question from Vishwanath of AMF, who is already a multinational German company. No doubt we need to move up, IT and IT enabled services and all are like Shailendra said, is very important. So if you come to manufacturing, then what is it? IT will require several molded parts and sheet metal, metal forming parts. That would give opportunities for manufacturing. But then these are again sourced a lot from China. But then there are some very good companies in India who are doing. But more Indian companies needs to get into that aspect of it. So as such, Indian companies needs to learn to export more. We are exporting, but then there, I know about the Indian export because I travel to many shows and see Indian companies. They are very low in the order while they export a lot of volumes. High quality products are not really being exported. More of commodity products are getting exported. So it's time that the Indian companies become more competitive. The core solution first is that if you want to do anything, that you need to get competitive.
That's so true.
Now, this is the time. In fact, this COVID has given a huge opportunity to look inward. I would call upon every company to look inwards, to look at how they can become competitive. They need to sustain, they need to become profitable, they need to go beyond and grow after this as the new opportunities will come. Fantastic new opportunities will come up. Okay, it's going to be a new sunrise, that's for sure. But we have to sustain and be ready by then. That is most important. But I think I see many other questions coming in. Various things. Perhaps there is something else.
That was very inspiring, both of you. Thank you so much. Mr. Vishwanath, does that answer your question?
Oh, thank you very much for both the gentlemen. It was really very elaborative, answer and really helpful. Thank you very much once again.
Thanks to you, Mr. Vishwanath. Now we will take a question from Ashutosh. He has a question on IMTMA. Hi Ashutosh, how are you doing?
Hi sir, how are you? I'm good.
Very good. Which part of the country?
I'm from Delhi only, New Delhi.
Which company?
Filter Mist.
Filter
Mist.
Okay.
Filter Mist is a UK-based company, and we have registered our company in India as well. And I'm the sales director of that company.
Okay.
And we are into health and safety products like oil mist collectors for machine tools.
Oil mist collectors, okay.
So
how is the situation there in your part of the country, Ashutosh? How are you doing generally, business-wise?
Business-wise, it's not moving at all. As Sachin told, he's also in Delhi. That all the zones are red zone in Delhi. So, and regarding NCR, there are many orange zones in Ghaziabad and Gurgaon. I think they have started working with very few strength, maybe 20% worker have started working in the factories. So I know few of our customers have started working slowly. I think they have started from 20th April itself. But I think operations will resume now from 3rd May and more activity will happen.
Great. Thanks, Ashutosh. Your questions?
Yeah. So first of all, very good morning to all the panelists. My question is to Mr. Indradev. First of all, out of curiosity, I'm getting so many news that whether IMTEX 2021 is going to happen or not. So this is a question. But my main question is, right now in this pandemic times, many companies now are starting their factories, right? And they have to take care of all the safety precautions. But one question, I'm being talking about my industry only, but this has been talked a lot with many machine tool OEMs, because we supply our products to almost all the machine tool OEMs, that when the workers are working in factories and they are inhaling so much of mist or smoke and fumes, and which causes respiratory diseases. So don't you think in these times this will make them more vulnerable to this coronavirus, because corona generally attacks people uh, with respiratory problems? And do you think that at some point of time machine tool industry should make these kind of health and safety products mandatory so that we can save our workforce?
Yeah, Ashutosh, thank you for this nice thought. Right now it's innovation, innovative thought process at work already with Mr. Ashutosh. That's the way to think and act at this time, Ashutosh. Now, not just machine tools, any manufacturing company would require, okay,
Yeah.
such a thing. But you need to, supposing you are going to produce that, you explain that that's what your line is,
Yes.
then how are you need to now prove to the various companies that you have a product that will make their workers safe. Which company owner wouldn't want to spend some amount of money to do that? Believe me. So this is an opportunity. Right
Yes.
now, you can beat everything and produce, but you need to make the difference. You can't say that same product will do that job.
Yeah.
You need to show that it can filter germs, it can hold germs, and you should know how to, after filtering, what are you going to do with it? You need
Yeah.
to give an end-to-end solution. You need to convince.
Yeah.
You need to mean that the promise. Not only that, I'll tell you one thing. A dentist friend, very close friend of mine. In fact, I wanted to go there, and I have been able to go there. So he called me, since I had reminded him, well, look, when are you going to open and so on? He asked me, hey, Indradev, can you help me with one product? Okay. What he said is he needs a kind of aerosol suction device. Okay. It's nothing but a glorified or a much more beautiful vacuum cleaner. So where it sucks all the aerosols, because dentists always have to work with aerosols, and they work very close to the patient. Okay.
Mhm.
So the aerosols could be carrying the germs from the dental patient, but this will suck it out and it will filter it very safely, secure. But then this system needs to be silent. It can't be making the sound a vacuum cleaner makes.
Yeah.
So you have a product there. You have multiple products. You need to innovate quickly, and you can do that. I think
Yeah.
you have got a hit solution. You are already on something very interesting. You should do it. I'm sure machine tool companies and any other industries would love to buy such a product, but you have to make it rounded. That means full solution. Now, coming to your other question, which is IMTEX. IMTMA, Indian Machine Tool Manufacturers Association, has a primary role of taking care of the interests of the members of the association. It promotes a lot of programs for development of the members. It does government advocacy to help machine tool manufacturing in the country, export of it to the world. But then it has another very important activity, is an exhibition activity. So IMTMA owns the BIEC, Bangalore International Exhibition Center, which is very unique. Typically, no association in the world owns an exhibition center, but because of exhibition is a very important aspect of our business. Our products needs to be showcased, and IMTEX, our flagship event, is the way that we did it, and everybody looks forward to it. And I am a participant from 1991 in IMTEX, and I always look forward to it. It means a lot for everybody, and everybody is looking forward to it. As such, as of today, IMTEX will happen, and please prepare for it. Don't think that IMTEX will go away. Maybe it will have to be with safety norms. The government will lay down, our own association will lay down. But as such, IMTEX has not been cancelled. We still are on, and we are working for it. We are all looking forward to it, and we are planning each and every aspect of it. We know that several machine tool exhibitions have been cancelled, but I can tell you that the one in September, IMTS, International Manufacturing Technology Show in Chicago, is in September, is not yet cancelled. Okay, it's still open. So if IMTMS, that's going to be an indicator for you. If IMTMA is going to happen, why will IMTEX close down? But anyway, the government policies are important, and IMTMA has been also talking about exhibition industry as such in the future once the lockdown areas go over. But as such, the pandemic may last 2 years. Let's say it lasts 2 years. How do we manage exhibition industry? The question is, exhibition industry and malls or theaters are all the typical similar kind. So these industries also will be in the same aspect. So that malls, theaters, you need to look at that, and then the government policy connected with that will be similar to what happens to the exhibition industry, I guess. But as such, to once again tell you that we are really looking forward for IMTEX 2021, which is a metal cutting and a very big exhibition we're expecting. Let's hope for it. So I hope I have answered your question. If you have anything more, you can quickly ask me.
Yeah. Hello.
Yeah.
Yes,
Thank you for your very answer, sir. I would like to just add one more point on this. We are also really looking forward for IMTEX 2021. We had participated last year also, and just as you said, this is a big opportunity for us. So what we have been doing, I am also conducting webinars every day, 2 times, with all the customers to create awareness about health and safety of the workers. And we were planning that in IMTEX 2021 we will give free of charge, we will give mist collectors to be installed on all machine tool OEM stalls, so that people can see and they think about it while buying the machine tools. They also buy health and safety product along with it, even though right now only 20% of machines are going with these kind of products. But we would like to create awareness, and we will ask for your help for that to achieve this goal.
Indradev, sir?
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, thank you. I think it's good. As such, you should definitely innovate with your thoughts that you have, and bring out such solutions to the industry, and also think about solutions beyond our industry and going into professionals like dentists, giving solutions. I would think about it, because it's a similar product line.
Yeah, sir, sorry, one last point. We have recently launched a new range of product, which are ozone generators, and they can actually kill, we have tested that they can kill viruses like SARS, and testing on coronavirus is still going on in Sweden.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Okay.
Congratulations. Congratulations, Ashutosh. More power to you.
Thank you.
More power and success. And thank you for asking very pertinent questions on behalf of other attendees also, especially the IMTEX question. That was very pertinent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now let's talk to Altaf. Altaf has... Altaf, can you hear us?
Yeah. Good morning, Chair.
Very good morning. Where are you calling from? Where you joined us from? See this webinar.
I am from Faridabad.
Faridabad. Okay. Okay. Which company do you represent?
Yeah.
What is your...
Ramco Steels Private Limited.
Ramco Steels.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So the name is self-explanatory. How's business? How's the manufacturing environment?
Environment is Faridabad is in red zone right now. We were hoping it will be going orange zone, but since last 2 days some cases came. That's why it go again in red zone.
Okay.
And but my factory is running since 24th of April.
Okay.
And it is in operational with 40% manpower.
Okay. Okay. That's good. Oh,
And
okay.
basically, our business is export to USA and European countries.
Okay.
And my question is, what will be the effect after this pandemic for export business, like machine part export business? How what will be the effect?
Shailendra sir?
Yeah. Good morning, Altaf.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, actually, I have been an exporter of CNC machine parts. One of the exports which I do. To answer your question, there is not going to be much of an effect on your existing businesses if you are already doing it, because the business to US and Europe increased after the trade war started between US and China. So it has been, you can say, last 12 to 16 months, there is an onslaught of inquiries coming from US to us, personally speaking, from our companies. So you don't have to worry about the businesses coming from US. In fact, your businesses will definitely grow further if you take certain proactive measures, as I have recommended, that you need to create a local base, either yourself directly or through some people, and see to it that your presence is felt. And naturally, Europe is always been a country where they do not keep changing suppliers just like that. And they believe in their supply chain, and they will keep up with their confidence with the existing suppliers if they have been performing. So I don't see any problems or hiccups as far as Europe and US markets are concerned for exporting from India. In fact, they should increase.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thanks, Altaf. Any other questions?
Yeah.
Do we have?
Thank you, sir. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thanks. Have a great weekend. Thank you, Altaf.
Thank you.
Now we have a question from Deven, who's not a registrant, but he's on live stream, and he's put across a question that Shailendra sir wants to take up. And Shailendra sir, what is the question that you read particularly? He has asked 2-3 questions.
Yeah, he said that Indian automotive industry will look for quality products or cheaper solution by compromising quality. My
Yes,
answer is straight away no. Quality does not get compromised, because then that is only the last order that you will execute. So you will have to believe in what you produce, and you will have to create a complete value added proposal, a commercial proposal, because a product is not sold on its price or cost. It is sold on its total life. So you will have to create that kind of a logic while you are trying to make a complete marketing proposal, where you do not talk of a short-term price or cost while at the time of buying, but then you can explain to the customer what exactly you have been buying. It's like any other comparable product. A Sony TV, if you buy it, maybe after 15 years also, you will have the same Sony TV. Whereas on a cheaper model with compromised quality, you may have to replace it 3 to 4 times in that duration. So I would go by the quality rather than the cost. And cost is a marketing effort which somebody will have to convince as to why my cost initially is higher, but then in the longer run, it will be cheaper to you. So I think that is the perspective you have to take, because the quality only sells.
Thank you, sir.
Frankly.
Indradev sir, you want to take? Sorry.
I would like to add here. You know, the quality and high quality are not synonymous. High quality, building quality does not mean your cost is going to go up, and is also conversely. Sometimes when you are manufacturing poor quality, you'll be doing it inefficiently and you are losing money. So you need to know. Of course, you have to understand what you exactly mean by quality. You know, you can't compare. You know, you need to compare apple to apple. You know, when you have the same input, same kind of product, not with a different specification, in that product, you can definitely be cheaper and produce better quality. So please understand that, and nobody in the the world is evolving. More quality is expected, better quality is expected, and nobody poor quality. There is no opportunity for poor quality. However, the world will change into a recession or even a depression. Poor quality will not be welcome. It's not even good for a manufacturer. So just my quick take on that aspect of quality and cost.
These are some great takeaways from both gentlemen. Deven, who's watching us on YouTube, thank you to you.
He has one more question, Anand.
Yes, sir.
He has one more question. Asking the prospect of a new entrant into automotive field.
Shailendra sir, so if you can quickly take this up because we are kind of running over time.
Deven, you must understand, automotive is a very, very competitive market, and it is very, very highly quality conscious market, because when you are buying a car, you are expecting the car manufacturer to give you a 5-year warranty, so many lakhs kilometers of things like that. So the quality is supreme. At the same time, you want that particular car to be the cheapest one. So if you can work out a combination like that in your manufacturing setup, then you are in for playing a game or playing a ball as far as automotive sector is concerned. But the word of caution that there are too many players already in it, and there are so many auto component manufacturers. So you need to find a real niche to understand where exactly you would like to put in, and that niche has to really gel with your core competencies. Then only I think you will be a long-term player.
Yeah, can I come in on that as well? Yeah, Devan, see, today it's all about the fear. People have fear. How many people would want to take a a taxi, for example? So shared mobility, people have already said, could be an area. But then, if you, let's say you come out with somebody comes out with a car with a differentiator that it can be, all you need is press a button and then the car is disinfected. Okay. So you need to come out with something which is attracting to make it safe. That is when that is what is going to make the difference. So the same old cars is not going to be sold so easily, because after COVID-19 we may have COVID-21 or something else. So we need the whole mindset is permanently set for us humans to be thinking safe in those terms, hygiene terms. So the auto industry is going to evolve, and it's going to change a lot. I wonder, you watch and wait. So it's the new entrants they are going to have that kind of opportunity, that kind of thing, along with shared mobility or autonomous driving, wherein you don't need drivers and you can bring in that's going to happen. And with people working more from home, because now suddenly in just a month millions have learned to work at home, and they're even wondering what's going to happen. I mean, why do you need to go to office? So IT companies won't need so much of office space. I really worry about the real estate people who are in that business for the office space for IT companies. But even in our company, I'm thinking why desktop should work in the companies. So they need to, why they can't work from home. And with that, the traffic on the roads are like you will see, I think, lower level of traffic on the roads than before. People will learn to remote, because space, we are on Zoom, and that is going to become going to innovate as well to make it more realistic. I think.
Ashutosh, absolutely, sir. And Ashutosh asked a related question. He wished to take it up, and then I'll go to sir. Ashutosh says, do you think private mobility or personal car consumption will get a boost in the absence of public transport, which you're talking about right now? If you could elaborate on this.
Yeah.
Will people buy more cars for personal use, or public transport will get a boost?
Yeah. Academically,
Indradev sir, I think if you could just add, then Shailendra sir could address the whole question.
Yeah, at this point, yeah. I definitely think that the people would prefer to drive in their own vehicles in the near term until the fear of COVID-19 goes away from the human mind. I think more people will definitely want to drive in safer vehicles. So that will call for when you want to travel to use your own vehicles rather than taking a flight. I think the last chance, you have to go to Delhi from Bangalore. You have no choice. Let's say I want to go to Chennai, Hyderabad, or even Goa. I would go by car.
Yes, true, true.
So I mean, I've tried to answer it figuratively. That there would be a need for more personal vehicles, I think, at this time, but maybe with a different class and maybe different requirements. Auto companies are all innovating right now.
So true.
Yeah,
so true.
Shailendra, you can take on.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, theoretically speaking, yes, the demand has to go up. In that, a presumption is that we are assuming that people who were traveling earlier by bus or a ride share were not having their passenger cars available with them. So that could be maybe 30 to 40% true. So to that extent, there could be a possibility of demand going up because the banks will be extending loans for creating demand. GST's association is thinking of recommending the GST should go down or the depreciation should be added. To that extent, the demand will go up, but then one-to-one replacement or one-to-one addition in demand will not take place. So one will have to take into account because the social distancing is going to be the biggest phenomenon as far as demand generation is concerned. Like Indra Babu has said it, that people would not prefer to travel by bus, a company bus or a private bus. They would not prefer to have a ride share. They would not prefer to travel on a pillion with somebody. They would like to have their own vehicle. So if they don't have it, they will have to create one. So to that extent, the demand should go up.
Insightful, sir. Insightful. Before we wrap this up, I believe there's a gentleman who wishes to share a feedback. Sekhar, can you hear us? Mr. Sekhar? I'm trying to unmute. Mr. Sekhar? Okay. Mr. Sekhar, can you hear us?
Yeah, I could hear.
Sorry. How are you doing?
Yeah, good.
Hope you enjoyed the discussion.
Yeah, I am so much happy that I'm hearing a good session with all you guys. It's a fantastic session. Mr. Indradev Babu and Mr. Shailendra and Mr. Pandey is doing a great job. Thank you so much for the innovative informations. And at this junction, as everybody is telling, we have to look for innovative products, and it should be a more competitive and challenging, and everything is we have to take care. We have to go into that our life step by step. Thank you so much.
Which part of the country are you joining from, if I may, and which company, if I may?
I'm from Bangalore, Pinya Industrial Area. This is Spurti Machine Tools Private Limited.
Spurti. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much for your kind feedback, Mr. Sekhar, and joining us and supporting us. Really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Have a great weekend.
Bye.
Great. Thank you. So great, gentlemen. We're wrapping this up. Before which, I'd ask each of you to share a message that you have for all the listeners and attendees on how to deal with this and the future outlook from each of you. Let's start with Indradev, sir. Is there a message you want to share with all our listeners?
These are tough times, okay, and tough times sets the best in front of us. And I already talked about being, becoming more innovative and more efficient. Okay, so the only message that is a quote that everybody has already heard of, but I just want to remind everybody with the same thing. When it is tough, the tough gets going.
True.
So it's all of us now to really get going. And Indians are wonderful. Particularly Indians have the strength of managing excellently during adversity. So that is the strength of Indians. I will tell you that the Indian industry, manufacturing industry, will come out shining, and with a new vigor, they will come out, and it will be vibrant. But we have a period of tough situations here, and during these tough situations, we have to pull ourselves together, be clear-minded, stay focused, to sustain initially and reap the opportunities and then grow up beyond that. All the best to every manufacturing member who is working in a company or the leaders of the companies. Thank you.
Thank you, Indradev sir. Shailendra sir, and before that, Ashutosh asks one question. I request the panelists to just look at that question just to end the discussion with. But before that, a message to the attendees. Shailendra sir.
Yeah. By nature, I'm a staunch optimist. So I always see things in a very, very positive mode. And like we have a saying here in Marathi, I had mentioned it earlier also, ki ek dar band zala ki 10 dar ugadtat. A door closes, 10 doors open. And one must have that wisdom and intellect to look at the possibilities of those 10 doors opening and focus his attention on those 10 doors rather than the door which has closed on him. With that, if we really look at statistically, we were running at around 4 or 5% on GDP. With this pandemic, we came down to 1.8. Today, we don't know whether we will do 1.8 or we will do 1 or we will go to 0 or minus, whatever that may be. But there have been forecasts for the next year where the government has already indicated that we would bounce back with a GDP not less than 7%. 7.84 to be precise. And this should be absolutely looked at it in a very, very positive manner, because we Indians are known to fight. We Indians are known to create certain things. And I'm very sure all fellow citizens will appreciate what I'm saying, and then they will stand together to gain from this pandemic rather than lose. So I think this is a message which I would like to convey, that be optimist, because that is the only thing that you can do it very, very positively today.
Inspiring, sir. Thank you so much. Indradev sir, your mantra?
Yeah. No, as I already shared what is my thoughts, but I tell you that no, we must once again. I want to stress on being competitive and productive. Improve your productivity.
Your own mantra for success is, I think, what Ashutosh wants.
My own success is we need to stay focused.
How did you? Because yesterday you shared something to that effect, that you worked with MSMEs,
yeah,
your years of experience. And how did you manage, and how do you manage to shuffle all these responsibilities and excel at each of those? What is your mantra there?
See, mantra is about carrying everybody in the organization.
Sure.
And being empathetic to the needs of all the members, and sharing the vision with them about what is in store, what is that vision that is in front of us, and everybody should be able to see that vision and work in that direction with the same spirit and drive. So this is what has helped our company to move from one product to being a diversified in high-tech products and being able to compete internationally. So I think being inward-looking is a very important aspect that I want to share with you.
Thank you, sir. That is immensely helpful. Shailendra, sir, your mantra for success?
Your mantra for success is be optimistic and be positive.
Yes.
That will lead you somewhere.
These are great sentiments to end this meeting with. Share your vision, take everybody along, be positive, be optimistic. Absolutely excellent thoughts. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, panelists. Thank you, registrants. I wish to really thank the registrants from the bottom of my heart, because this is a paid webinar, and in a way that makes you our patrons. And because of your support, we've been able to continue this talk. And I wish to inform you that 10% of ticket proceeds will go to Chief Minister Care Funds, one from Shailendra Sir's state, which is Maharashtra, and the other Karnataka, which is Indradev Sir's state. Have a brilliant weekend and a great lockdown opening to all of you. Lots of success and power to all of you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Mr.
so much, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Babu sir.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Shailendra sir.